Hi, I'm Anthony DeCurtis. Rock and roll has always been about sex, but when it comes to performance, there's a double standard. Women get accused of working the babe thing, while men can be as sexy as they want. So why do men always come out on top? It's how rock and roll got its name. And it's played a part in every musician's career.
All performance is inherently erotic.
Sex. Has it kept some women rockers from being taken seriously?
Part of being a great performer is having sex appeal.
When women exhibit themselves on stage, okay, there's quite a different attitude. You're asking the whole crowd to come and ravish you, come and enjoy your body, whereas a man, in the contrary, will say, I'll have you, and you, and you, and you.
Whether deliberately.
Everybody around me was really literally saying, you know, you have to use your sex. You have to use your sex power. You have so much sex power, and boy, you've got to manipulate it.
Or inadvertently.
I don't exude any sort of sexual sort of energy, I don't think.
Female artists are more likely to be dismissed as babes.
I think that attractive women do get accused of using their looks. So what? Men do that. You know, Bono does that, Sting does that. Why is it different when Sheryl Crow does it?
Some women have skirted the issue.
Patti Smith and Christy Hynde have solved that by being rather mannish.
Some men have embraced it.
You know, what you perceive as the babe thing. It's a guy group, you know, male.
Being sexy?
You take somebody like, say, Natalie Merchant when she was kind of autistic, or Suzanne Vega, you know, who has kind of a very still type thing. Well, there, you know, I remember all kind of commentary about how sexy that was.
And does an artist's sex appeal say more about society than the way she sounds on stage? Today, to get to the bottom of the babe thing, we've assembled our regular panel. We've got J.D. Considine from the Baltimore Sun and a contributor to Rolling Stone. Amy Linden, a music writer who writes for the New York Times and other publications. Scott Poulsen Bryant, a senior writer for Vibe magazine. We're very pleased to have with us Cyndi Lauper, who's just released a greatest hits collection called 12 Deadly Sins.
Who's a broad, not a babe, right? More of a broad.
I don't know, you know, I am female. It's, listening to all this action. I don't know, you know, grew up watching guys working it for a long time, and I don't think it's unnoticed. There were those pretty boy bands that I think that's what they were. That's all they were about. But if you have somebody that's not... If somebody came on and just they had no makeup and no nothing, and they said, oh, here it is. You look at it and you go, okay.
Well, you know, this whole subject grew out of a...
Men are worse than women.
No.
Talk to any makeup
That's
artist.
impossible.
Men are worse than women.
Look at rock and roll. People like Cyndi Lauper, women who were singers probably grew up looking at Mick Jagger and Elvis Presley as much as anyone else for inspiration. And Jagger was a made-up kid. Bowie.
Yeah, but here's something interesting though. I mean, what I find fascinating, you mentioned Jagger, is that Jagger has a very strong sexual presence, but he's not a pretty boy. He's not, in fact, good looking. Well, let me finish. He's not especially good looking in the Adonis sense, but he conveys this strong sexual presence, and there are very, very few women artists who've been able to do the same thing. P.J. Harvey is probably the only female artist I can recall seeing on stage who could put across the same kind of energy without relying on looks specifically. The way Jagger.
Right, she's great looking.
No, I'm not saying that she's not great looking. What I'm saying is it's a different thing than coming out and being, you know, cover of Vogue perfect.
No, it's scientifically proven, actually. But wait. This whole subject, right, I am trying to moderate. I'm trying to be the moderator, although I'm about to instigate a fight, I think, because this whole subject grew out of an argument that Amy and J.D. had about Sheryl Crow, as a matter of fact, at a restaurant.
All right, let me tell you how the argument started, okay?
We'll see if she tells the accurate story.
Well, yeah, being a woman, of course, I couldn't possibly have the facts right. But my argument was...
Okay, that's enough.
All right,
J.D.?
Yeah. Shut up, Amy. My thing is, if you're going to work the babe thing, then work it. Work damn babe thing, okay? Don't sit there and go, oh, you know, I just woke up this morning and my hair just sort of looked like this and these pretty raffy-like curls and I don't need to wear makeup. Please, please. They're all wearing makeup. They all have stylists. Please. There's nothing wrong with working what you got, but don't sit there and act like, oh, I just look like this from the cornfield.
In this corner, J.D. Considine.
But Amy, my question to you then and now is, have you seen Sheryl Crow in concert?
No, because that's not the point.
Yes, it is exactly the point, because that's what I was talking about.
All right.
The fact that Sheryl, despite what the video does, when Sheryl Crow plays on stage, she doesn't work the babe thing, she stands there.
In leather hot pants.
No, actually, the performance I was referring to, she was wearing jeans just like everybody else in her band. And she no more worked the babe thing than her bass player did. My point is that, and I think this is part of the problem, we get so hung up on interview quotes and video clips and images that are secondary to the performance that our images of these artists gets distorted. We tend to look at the image as opposed to the musician. And the other thing I find really fascinating about your attacking Sheryl Crow's babe thing. Let me finish.
I just think she should work it, really work it.
Sheryl Crow, Tori Amos, and Juliana Hatfield have all said to me in interviews that the nastiest, bitchiest, most vicious reviews they've gotten have all been written by women.
Oh,
yeah, but that's because male rock critics are so enamored of them that they kind of make up their fantasies.
No. Let's just
the master will speak.
I'm not the master, and I'm in the business where you get the business all the time. The truth is, these people are musicians. Everybody has a sexuality. Everything in every body, every flower, everything has a sexuality. If you are aware of that, if that is where you feel your power from, then power to you, sister or brother.
Well, then why do women get accused of it when men don't?
Who accuses you?
Yeah.
Not me personally, hardly.
I mean, look, it's
Amy, for example.
No, I don't know. I'm not against it. I'm saying my feeling is don't be disingenuous about it. Look, I come in 2 hours before you guys, before the shows, to get hair and makeup done. And you know what?
Yeah, not more of an issue for me.
Hair, that's true. But the thing is that it's a drag, but it's also sort of fun. I am perfectly aware of the fact that part of the reason that, you know, you do these sort of things is you're projecting something. And it's fun, and it is sort of a power thing. I'm just saying, don't sit there and be coy and cute about it. If you're a good-looking woman or a good-looking man, and that's part of your persona, then that's great.
But sex is
that's her issue.
Right.
That's her issue.
Right, and I just think it's great. You shouldn't beat up on somebody. You should not beat up on somebody. Chrissy Hine works the babe thing the same way that Natalie Merchant may work the anti-babe.
Now, wait a minute. Chrissy Hine don't like women. She actually said that to me. True. And that was my biggest disappointment, because sisterhood is powerful. How do you conquer?
That was disappointing.
You divide and conquer. And that's the whole gig. Don't like your mother. Don't like your sister. You know, you're in competition with this one. You're in competition with that one.
That's why so many women I know love Salt and Pepper, because we saw them and they said, man, they had kids and look how great they look. And we were proud of them. I mean, it's a great thing to see someone succeed.
Is it possible for a beautiful female performer to be taken fully seriously as an artist?
Women aren't taken fully seriously as people.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm beautiful, and I can sing anything except opera. I can't sing opera, and I can't rap.
We're going to be talking about... Cyndi, why did you choose to have drag queens in the latest video that you did for the remake of Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
Well, I was doing the gay games last year, and I was sitting around the table. You know, I've been trying to do that all through '93, and it was '94 now, and you know, I was getting nervous. So I'm sitting there. I said I'd do it, and then I said, in my mind, I was going to be, you know, have the macaroni crown and the torch and sing the Star Spangled Banner. And they said, no, we'd like you to open it. It's got to be this big dance number. I said, oh no, I don't think so. And then, you know, because I didn't want it to be straight. I don't like that kind of action. So I'm sitting with my friend Howard Kaplan and my husband, David Thornton, and we're sitting around and we're going, well, I said I'd do it, and now what? And meanwhile, while I was going along, I was making all of these versions of Girls, you know, doing my musicology lesson, you know, and which was good, I'm not complaining. It was a great journey for me, but I was sitting there thinking, what the hell am I going to do? And Howard said, you should get all the drag queens and sing Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Do it with all the drag queens. And I looked at him and I says, yeah, well, you're right. Girls, all the girls were having fun all along. So we did the show, and I was there with my other friend, Kevin, and, you know, I drove people there, which was scary for them because, you know, not great, those ugly mergers. But we went to Yankee Stadium. Well, you know, it can get ugly. And so we get to Yankee Stadium, we do the whole thing, and I did I'm Gonna Be Strong there, too, and then it took on a whole new meaning. But I had done these for the Best Of record. I wanted to put together a package. And anyway, I couldn't get Patras, so I thought it was a good idea with everybody. Well, because I wanted to do rap, too.
No, I'm just saying, like, you couldn't get Patras, so you got a drink.
No, I didn't mean it like that. Listen, you know something? I don't even view these guys as, you know, although it's very interesting where the term came from, drag queen, but I view it as performance art. What I do when I dress up, that's a performance. It's a whole character that you see.
Well, you know what the best thing about that is, and I think this is the way in which drag says a lot about our society now, is that clothing allows you to bring out an aspect of your personality or a sense of your identity that you can't otherwise would have to articulate through action. Clothing lets you do it in a sort of...
But clothing is an action. I mean, it is part of that.
It is, but it's an action on a different level, and I think what's really interesting is that our notion of masculinity has become so rigid, if you'll pardon the pun, and defined that...
he was reading Iron John. Take it easy.
That it takes drag for men to acknowledge not only their feminine side, but also for straight men to acknowledge that there is something attractive about the masculine visage, because we are in such denial. Otherwise, as a culture...
Wait a minute, I have to say something. Leo. This has been going on... Well, there's some talk that that's not a woman.
Oh, the Mona Leo. Oh, that's
you know what I mean?
Interesting
theory. It looks awful lot like Leonardo da Vinci. And they...
This is the Mona Lisa we're discussing.
Yes.
let me hasten to that.
And what about in Greek times when they had... This has been going on since the beginning.
Wait a minute.
The notion of male,
it's been going on forever.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, no. I want to say something about drag, though. Obviously.
All right,
see, I mean, I used to live in the Lower East Side years and years ago, and I remember being at Wigstock, you know, when Lady Bunny and Olin would teeter-totter over from the Pyramid and go over to the park and have Wigstock, which, for those of you outside of the greater New York area, is a fabulous festival of wigs and hair, and it's a drag show, and it's lots of fun. Okay, it was really cute and it was fun, and it is lots of fun. And I've seen Lip Synca, who's a great drag performer.
It become mainstream?
Well, I mean, I think it became mainstream because somebody got paid. And that's how it became mainstream. It was always mainstream in some... Excuse me, Milton Berle.
All right, that's right. Go ahead, go on.
Milton Berle was doing it in the 50s.
David Bowie was doing it.
It's always been mainstream.
It's a difference.
No, I just think culture club.
It's a different... There is a difference between Milton Berle, and there's a difference between Monty Python and that type of drag and RuPaul.
For you, maybe.
But this is more subversive in a lot of ways, though, because this is from a definitely gay sensibility.
Exactly.
But isn't drag in a way a sort of like just a kind of parody of femininity?
Yeah, I have a problem.
Oh, and Claudia Schifrin, and this is not.
No, I mean, I do have
Well, at least she has the advantage of actually being a woman, however.
Well,
but drag, I think
I'll tell you honestly, I am mixed about drag, because sometimes it depends on who's doing it, okay? Because sometimes it can be a lot of fun, and sometimes, quite frankly, it can be a vicious, bitchy thing, and it can be a put-down, and it can be almost like blackface if done by a racist, you know?
That's exactly my point.
Don't you think though, but Amy, come on, with drag though, don't you think that, I think drag is more comment on femininity than it is on womanhood. Because try as all these guys might, they ain't gonna have vaginas and they ain't gonna have uterus. You know what I'm saying? So it's more femininity. And there are a lot of feminine guys. You know what I mean? There's no reason why men can't address their feminine qualities.
Is it even subversive any longer?
No, my husband went to a play called, he was going for an audition one time called The Woman with No Vagina. And most of my friends called me up. I said, where's David? He's going for this audition for The Woman with No Vagina. And they said, that's my life story. You know. But, you know.
But there's more to being a woman. I mean, look, I'm a woman. I don't walk around and stand up in roomy shoes and big hair and big thing. I mean, believe me, I would if I could, okay? But I can't.
Comment on it. I don't think there's anything vicious behind it.
You think Fredericks of Hollywood is not drag?
Let's JD.
Exactly.
But my point is that's how it's changed. Yeah. Because if you talk about Milton Berle and Benny Hill and Monty Python, they're playing their femininity for laughs.
True.
And you talk about RuPaul, and it's very affectionate, it's strong, and it brings
right. But see, Benny Hill and Milton Berle, well, this maybe takes us back to the babe thing, but it was also, I think that was a more vicious comment on women because it was like ugly, beastly women.
Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break right now. We'll have our panel discuss what they've been thinking about and listening to.
Something classic.
It's really offensive. Great rhythm section. And
Never liked them.
Great guitar player.
Always hip.
Great guitar player.
Always hip. Hate it.
Welcome back to Four on the Floor. We're at that portion of the show where our panel talks about what they've been thinking about and listening to. We'll start with J.D. Considine.
Well, speaking of working the babe thing, I've been listening to an album that works the babe thing in a different way. This is called The Spirit of 73. It's a Rock for Choice benefit album, and the Spirit of 73 refers back to 1973 when Congress passed the Equal Rights Amendment, which unfortunately the states did not get around to ratifying. But what the album is it's an assortment of groups doing their 70s covers, some of which are just stunning. They have, for example, one of my favorite things is Sarah McLachlan does a version of Joni Mitchell's Blue that is just to break your heart beautiful. There's a really, really funny version of More, 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 the old Andrea True Connection song done by Babes in Toyland. That's kind of punk disco. And it's got really big singers, people you would have heard of, like Roseanne Cash and Cassandra Wilson. And it's also got, some lesser-known groups like That Dog, who I think would, really deserve
And a good cause.
And a good cause, and the best thing, L7 and Joan Jett doing Cherry Bomb.
Scott?
I've been listening to my Carlos Santana box set. It's called Dance of the Rainbow Serpent, and I'm not a long-time Santana fan, but a friend of mine introduced me to him a couple of years ago, and it has all the hits, Evil Ways and Black Magic Woman, and some nice unreleased stuff he did with Vernon Reid, and a nice blend of his Latin rhythms and blues. Three-disc set, yeah. Heart, Soul, and Spirit, divided into 3 sections. So check it out.
Amy.
I'm listening to a lot of stuff. One of the records I'm listening to right now is a record called Classic Rockers by Augustus Pablo, and Augustus Pablo is a reggae producer, a dub producer. He may not be really as well known, let's say, as like Bob Marley or some of the other guys, but he did this really, really kind of dreamy, psychedelic, dare I say, drug-influenced reggae, and there's not only his classic track, King Tubby Meets the Rockers Uptown, but there's also tracks that he did with the late Jacob Miller and other singers.
Cyndi.
I've been listening. I never listen to just one thing. I have my Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, the Wild Colonials first record, and Deep Forest, and of course I always go back to Queen Latifah and Bob Marley's Legend. I listen to a couple of things at once. I guess I'm a little that way.
Impeccable group of choices.
But it changes.
Oh, at all times.
But when I get up in the morning,
we just got you at this one moment.
When I get up in the morning, sponge, blur. I gotta just throw myself
Get moving into the day. My recommendation is the unfortunately titled album Cockamamie by Jennifer Trinant, who is not really working the babe thing, nor is she a drag queen, but it's really smart, interesting, kind of muted, noisy stuff that, is rock and roll. Anyway, thank you for joining us here on Four on the Floor. Thank you, Cyndi, for being here.
Thanks, hey, I thought it was a house
Thanks,
show.
Of course, house party. Thanks, of course, to our panelists. Join us next time.